Kendall, police believe Medley died by.
Right, Blake, while their investigation remains open, right now Brookfield police say the evidence points to cide. Meanwhile, Medley's family says they're without closure and they're calling on police to conduct a thorough investigation. Last week, early Thursday morning,
callers thought they saw someone deceased. They're advising it's on the golf course.
A death investigation unfolding on the Brookfield Hills golf course. Police blocking off surrounding roads for hours.
When I called and they told me what happened, I just was in a state of disbelief.
Sheena Medley speaking with 12 News from Hawaii on Zoom. Her brother, Tori, the man found dead on the golf course. Brookfield police saying he was found with a strap around his neck, the other end attached to a tree branch.
Does he have any connection to that golf course that you know about?
No, not that we know of. He was living in Milwaukee.
Okay.
He was living down off of St. Paul. So he didn't have a vehicle. And so the question is, how did he get out there? When did he get out there? Why did he go out there?
Police saying that day they believed the death to be a. More than a week later, with a completed autopsy, Brookfield police say that's still the case. Their investigation remaining open.
If it was, we'll accept that. But if it was something else, we'll accept that too. We just need to know that all I's have been dotted, T's have been crossed, and it's been fully reviewed and investigated, which is only fair.
Sheena asking anyone with information or possible surveillance video to come forward.
And I just wanted people to know that he had a name.
Yeah.
He was a really good person, a good man, and he had a family that loved him incredibly.
You can certainly understand the family's push for answers. Kendall, Brookfield police tell you they do have some surveillance video.
Right, Blake, they're in the process of reviewing that surveillance video and say they're still working to figure out what exactly it captured. They say they're still actively investigating his death.
And how the Confederacy was never properly punished, and how had they been properly punished, that this country would have been on a different trajectory. But because of white kinship, we had some things that happened. But before I get, so I don't want to get too ahead of myself, though. But first getting into it, man, a 39-year-old black man named Medley was found hanging in a tree at the Brookfield Hills golf course on November 13th. A black man was found hanging at a golf course. And we're supposed to believe there was no foul play. Supposed to believe that this happened as a. In 2025, we know how much trauma and how much oppression and racial violence is around black people, nooses, and trees.
The reason why the wheel is the greatest invention in human history is because it never has to evolve. It never has to be reimagined. It never has to change in order to convince people it's something new. All you have to do to the wheel is change the pace and show people a different pace, and it'll be convincing to them that something is new. It's not that I want to believe that we live in a world where all the time police tell the truth and they've never lied to anyone, because history dictates that's not true. Police have lied. Police have hidden evidence. Police have been sent to jail for doing such. So it's not shocking for people to think this about a scenario or a situation where a man is no longer on this earth. It's the over-reliance on believing 100% that this is not how black men with mental issues deal with taking themselves out. And statistically, you can create that conversation and be more valid.
They are still lynching black people in America. Tory Medley was found hanging in a golf course in Brookfield, Wisconsin. And it is to let you and I know that at any time when we feel like taking your life, we will. But let me ask you something. How many black people are going to go ahead and take their life by hanging? Not to say that we don't have our own mental health issues. Not to say that there's not a portion of our community that want to go ahead and do something and might do something like that. But to go ahead and put a noose around our neck and hang ourselves from a tree or any structure is ridiculous. It's symbolic of saying that we still will take your life and snatch your life when we want to. But if you look at the last 10 years of the black men that have been getting hanged across the nation, they all are coming to the same conclusion that it is by. Because here's the reality. We don't own the police. We don't own the publications. So if they want to go ahead and say that this is what happened and they spread the message of the word like that, then in some ways the collective society will accept it. That is why it's important to us to make sure that we spread the message so we get justice for every brother, for every sister that is going through it and getting any level of injustice. And not only in America, in the Caribbean, and not only in the Caribbean, in Africa, not only in Africa, any place that there are people of African descent, because the injustice system through white supremacy is throughout the world. And unless we share the message, it will not get shared.
And my only retort is to ask, when did we start considering people with mental issues to be the most rational decision makers? Who knows how this operated? Because at time of recording, no one's fully aware. Now, I will say it's a little bit stupid for the police to rule it a suicide and then say it's an open investigation where they're combing through surveillance to make sure that they dot their I's and cross their T's. I believe you should do that before you loudly proclaim that something has been ruled a suicide, instead of having people believing something and then questioning the motive afterwards and creating this snowstorm that has existed for the longest of times. And I do believe a family who now has to deal with a family member no longer being on this planet, especially around the holidays, needs to have a little bit of transparency, and they should be knowing any and all updates in regards to what happened to their family member. And that's where it should stop, because once social media gets their hands on a black body no longer being on this earth, it's obvious it's starting to be a situation where they have to blame the police, or they have to blame some fictitious white man that just so happens to be in the area.
If you are white in America, I need you to listen to me. Black men do not hang themselves from trees. They do not do that. Torrance Medley, age 39, that's him, was found in Wisconsin at a golf course hanging from a tree. After basically no investigation, police immediately said that it is a suicide. And after over 2 weeks, we've been provided with basically no other information from the police to counteract that. But one thing is for certain. Black men do not hang themselves from trees. Do black men commit just like everybody else here in this country? And those numbers are going up. The lynching of black men by white men in this country has never stopped. The numbers did go down after the big civil rights pushes and movement in the 60s and 70s, but that number is also going up a lot again. Normally, I am reticent to talk about black issues too much because, unfortunately, a lot of people that look like me will only take things seriously when someone that looks like me says it. So I'm here to tell you, black men do not hang themselves from trees. And if ever you see a story where that has occurred, know that it was a lynching.
I want you to drastically pay attention to what you just heard. You just listened to a white man who believes that, you really can't speak on black issues unless you're black, still speaking on a black issue because no one cares unless a white guy says something, saying that white people shouldn't believe that black men take their own lives even though the numbers are going up, because it's more likely that when you see a story about a black man dying, it's because of a white guy lynching them. And you seemingly wonder why people don't like to listen to these individuals when they try to be for the people. It's because they sound slower than the people.
And understand that there is a very big reason why police seem to never be able to find the people that did it. It's because they don't want to. So what can you do about it? You're of course going to stand by in solidarity with their families whenever this happens, in calling for justice to be done. And of course, put pressure on those police departments to make sure they're actually doing investigations and not just rushing to conclusions that they want to rush to. And of course, you need to be continuously deprogramming yourself from the white supremacy under which we were taught growing up, and also making sure you then externalize that to your friends group. If your friend group says anything coming close to racism, you call that shit out immediately and put it down. And of course, you say his name and remember him. His name is Torrance Medley.
Hey, white people, it would be great for you to know that if you skip to this portion of the video and listen to what he had to say, you would want to go back to the beginning where it stated the police, while they did rule it that this dude took his own life, and I didn't really like that because, as I say throughout the video, I would wish they'd dot their I's, cross their T's, then do it. But I can understand that, you got to have like your growing speculation and then with further evidence, either confirm it or deny it. That's perfectly, I get that. I understand that. All the technicalities and how police do things and all that extra shit. Because, y'all all grilled me because I wanted them to electrocute a car. All right. I understand that. But I somehow have to also sit here and pretend like any real subject matter around a black man's mental health doesn't really hold too much weight, because in this country only that black people live in, the only way they could leave this earth is not by natural causes. It's not by mental health. It's by that crustaceous white guy with a beer belly, and he's got a bald spot, and he's just so aggravated because some black woman who's also Indian tried to become president, and he's gonna take it all out on the first random black person he sees, and he's gonna do all this extra in making sure that no black person realizes that they're comfortable in society. Rawr, XD, all this extra shit, and not bring up anything in regarding mental health at all, except for mentioning that, hey, the numbers are going up, but you don't really have an answer to that. You don't want to solve that. You don't want to try to use your evil white supremacy to create stronger programming towards caring about mental health. You just want to bitch about friend groups and how white supremacists they really are. Oh, okay.
And in this regard, I do believe people need to be aware of what actually happened, and it needs to be a point by point. And the cops have said, hey, we're combing through surveillance footage. We're combing through all the information necessary. And again, that should have been done before ruling anything in regards to this person. And that's a good thing, because once they comb through that, hopefully they give it to the family, because the family said, or at least one of the family members has said, if it's him taking his own life, we can accept that. Or if it's some form of foul play where somebody hung him up in that regard, in that golf course, then we can accept that too, and probably start to demand a little bit of justice after the fact. But my beef with these social media people is that you now have your new shiny toy to start talking about racism again, because the last toy you tried very hard to make shiny, cool, and relevant, but because you couldn't get your story straight because you wanted to believe random fucks on TikTok, you dropped it and made it not deemed worthy to talk about anymore. And then once there was a fresh coat of paint on that dead body, you then decided to pick the toy back up. Hey everybody, look, I got this new toy. But then once again, you really didn't have any substance with that toy, so you threw it away. I'm sorry, but the fact that so many people who claim to care about black lives dismissing Trey Reed so rapidly, so quickly, and without even a second thought, I don't want to fucking hear them talk about racial dynamics, white supremacy, white violence. I don't want to fucking hear it. Because if you were so willing to lie about a dead man's corpse and then promote the lie and then hide behind those lies to the point where I have to question the integrity of the family because apparently that's where the information's coming from, you create the conversation necessary that nobody truly gives a fuck about mental health, whether it be for just any man or specifically black men.
Do I want cops to be more transparent in their findings, in their investigations into circumstances that befall in their communities? Yes. Do I acknowledge that there are crooked cops out there who will lie, who will hide evidence, who will protect people who shouldn't be protected, all for the sake of their own reputation? Yes. And fuck those individuals. They need to be in jail. They don't deserve to have a badge that signifies them protecting a community, because they're not protecting a community when they're hiding information. They're leaving it up to a bunch of people to live in fear in the hopes that somebody will protect them, but the people that are assigned to do that are actually hurting them. History dictates that those individuals exist, and they're still in active duty in several police forces across the country, whether if you want to admit it or not, that exists. Do I believe in abolishing the police? No, because unfortunately, you get rid of the police, you really have no idea on the next step, because motherfuckers will sit here and say, just get rid of him, and think that everything is going to magically start going away. Those people are brain dead. We need to have more transparency. We need to have more trust in law enforcement, because for every great story about a cop doing something of substantial note that's a positive, there's a story that has them being viewed and put in a bad light because of their own ineptitude and corruptness, and it needs to be understood. But we cannot sit here and leave out that there are individuals who didn't really care about this dude, who didn't really care about what's going on in this story, because I'm recording this as of December 4th. He was in news circles in his local community in November, and it's only started to gain traction now because somebody found it, turned the spin into somebody obviously is lying here because we have a history of black men offing themselves and being tied up in ropes, and black men never do that because why would a black man ever do that? And as I said earlier, when do we start looking at people with mental issues as the most rational in society? And I'm just sitting here reminding myself that this spin has been done this same year, and yet when we didn't get the juicy answer of white man bad, they tossed his body to the side and moved on to the potential next one, and they found their next one. And I'm going to end it the exact same way I ended it with the last time I talked about Trey Reed. I hope you people who are saying that this man has somehow been in the midst of a potential cover-up, and when I say you people, I'm not talking about the family. The family is deserving of information about their family member, and I'm not going to take that away from them. I'm speaking specifically to you fucking TikTokers who prance around pretending you give a fuck about a black life, whether it be a man or a woman, and all you do is pick up the corpse, dance with it, and then throw it to the fucking side when it don't have that white cum stain on it. You motherfuckers better be right, and that it's a cover up and somebody, I guess white, got to him. Because if it's anything else, I fucking need it to be stated that you people are the greatest charlatans who somehow still be viewed as truth seekers. You're still viewed in a positive manner because, oh my fucking God, is it really concerning to see that when we have these stories gain traction of men who unfortunately are no longer on this earth, and they start ruling it that they took their own lives, nobody wants to delve deep into that conversation about mental health. Nobody wants to start talking about black men's mental health. Nobody wants to start talking about how mental health across the board, at least in the basic public's perspective, is viewed as a joke. Oh, just go to the gym, sissy. That'll make you feel better. Instead, we want to have fun jerking off to race play. Instead, we want to sit here and talk about how some dude named Fuentes or Kirk has inspired white men to start beating up black dudes and hanging them up in ropes, because that's more juicy to talk about than worrying about the negatives and positives of protecting your mental health, and how if you don't do that, you might just decide your life's not worth it enough and see yourself out the door. And what a testament to that potential theory, to where you think your life doesn't mean anything and you take it just for people to invalidate anything going on up here and in here so that they could jerk off to race play. I want to know what you all think in the comments down below. Am I out of line? Am I in the ballpark? Do you hope for more information about these stories? Do you feel the cops need to dot their I's and cross their T's? Did the mystical white man strike again, and he's going to loom into the distance like Batman and no longer be about until he's got that hard on to strike another black person? Or is somebody lying and they're trying really hard to make their lie be the truth? Because at this point, I'm starting to think it's that last option. Subscribe. I'll see y'all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.